Hello everyone, let's go and see what we found this week. This week, the main finding was that, as we all discussed the previous week, the surface under the curve, we had a curve which was comparing the expected deaths in a given day versus the observed uh, number of of fatalities in that day. So what happens is that we had an extremely mild winter and plenty of people survived, which usually shouldn't. And all of a sudden it kicked in the coronavirus. So COVID, in fact, raised the mortality and took all this back of about 5,000 people, which were expected to die, but they didn't. And boosted it to beyond 25,000. So roughly we have now 31,000 fatalities in Spain beyond what was expected for this year. So it's somewhat a flat curve, but coronavirus made it not. The most fancy thing is that the Spanish fatality system is having an offset every week it's released. So the first week had an offset of 0 units, and now it has an offset of 7 units per day. So overall, on the whole period, you see that the number is being shifted, and it's somewhat very obvious. So and it's basically an adjustment or a lie. So you have to correct the data before you process and you digest and everything. So I'm tired of it, and this is the very last week I'm doing this. But just to show the numbers, this is the corrected data. It's not the one which is on the website because we subtracted the 7 units as from the original file, and every single week they add 1 more death per day. So that means that the very first week they published the results, they had 1 fatality times 100 days, so 100 fatalities less. Second, the third day they had 200 less, and now they have about 700 fatalities not accounted yet. So it's something that is not funny because in the end that's people and they deserve some respect, and this is not allowing a proper modeling of the coronavirus as well. So but this is the particular case of Spain, but we will talk later on that there are more. So so far the coronavirus is stressing the graveyard demand, and all countries will see at least the second wave as lethal as this one, because nothing has happened. I sorted this time the countries by the way they lie. So let's start with Italy. In Italy, we adjusted the curve of deaf people against the infection curve. So they both match. So it's likely representative to have the amount of people they have tracked. Some people died at a roughly constant case fatality rate. So we can understand that this is somewhat believable. In this part of the curve where the slope is maximum, so far the system was absolutely overwhelmed, and some people were left outside of the system. And thanks to this point, we evaluated how overwhelmed the healthcare system from Italy and all the other countries is. So second in the ranking, we have Belgium. Belgium has almost 3 overlapping curves, so it could be feasible and the data could be somehow trusted. And you see that there is very little to comment. Maybe there are here some irregularities and here as well, but roughly the data is matching, and we can take this as a baseline to process and to understand the nature of coronavirus or of this COVID infection as well. So in Spain, well, we Spaniards are a bit laggard, and usually when we see that someone is lying, we say, oh, well, we try to not be, we try to be trustworthy, but once we say, that's, what the hell, if we were lying, we can keep going. So we changed the criteria. And this is the baseline of many countries to say that they were best than the other rivals or the other colleagues or mates or border neighbors. So jumping to the next, France. France, what happened is that the last week they were attending only, they were only caring about 40% of the people who were attending the hospital. This week it's 99%. So how do they make it to more than double the capacity of hospitals all of a sudden in a single week? It's statistics. Well, so far, 3 curves are matching. That was meaning that in the beginning they had a very clear lack of resources in order to analyze COVID infection. So more people than, because the fatality rate is almost constant all the time. So it was mean that they were under analyzing people and they had not enough resources. From now on, so from mid-April, they started launching more, let's say, convincing methods, and both curves are matching. And as well, this one, but it's seriously to be analyzed. So no one can jump from 40% of hospital capacity to of people being attended at the hospital to 99%, which is now the case. So Germany, Germany is great. They have a gigantic leap since the data is made until it is released, and also the curve are taking the same shape as the most liar country in the world. And finally, we have the top in the world, which is South Korea. South Korea, the curves were matching very early on, but with hospitalization rate which is enormous, and the hospitalization time is one of the largest in the world. And also, if you follow the whole line, the death rate is absolutely not matching such curve. So something's missing. Something's missing, and maybe it's the method, maybe it's the procedure, but something has to be written about this, because it's absolutely not clear. So far, how is the world like now? The world is expecting a complex scenario. So the infections are almost linear. It doesn't show any symptom of getting flat anytime soon. The hospital capacity is still decreasing, and the trend is to decrease as well. And the same happens to the fatality rate. So overall, in many countries we saw, let me step back. So in many countries we saw that the S-shaped curve, so this is just the end of the curve, but so far you can see that this has some stagnation point and is, let's say, somehow controlled. As well, the fatalities are somehow controlled, but in the world we are still far from controlling it globally. So we have to pay attention to that. Next point, all countries, I just removed, this time I just removed the UK and simply added Belgium for our reference, and they are keeping almost on the same straight line as they were, because to display the hospitalization rate and the saturation, the overwhelming of the healthcare systems. So on top we have South Korea. They have a very 0 point something case fatality rate in hospital, and all the other countries are below, but mostly following this trend, and all the time it looks like the same. So if you check past videos, you will see. And very little has changed. France went here, Spain remained almost the same. So but this is a way to display how the system is overwhelmed. And the healthcare system, what was surprising is, and still surprising, is Germany. Germany has 100% of the people which are found to be positive. They are attending the hospital. UK was removed because of the numbers which were absolutely not matching easily. South Korea remains the same. Overall, the whole world. So now we have about 47% of 37% of people which are not being attended in hospitals or are not being accounted. And Spain has recovered some of the capacity because of the spare capacity now is being removed and more people can be treated. Italy it shows some spike and the figure is decreasing. And the most astounding change is France. France jumped in a week from 45%, so leaving about 55% of the people out of the system, to almost admitting every single person with coronavirus. And this is something strange. Either it was underreported before or something changed on the way they count. And this is the way the relationship is shown. So from detection, hospitalization to death, there are 7 days roughly, with 10 days in Germany and France. So they are very eager on detection. So they detect it very early and they treat for a long period. And also the recovery time, so roughly follows the same trend. So countries with more time to detect it, and they have more capacity, more hospital capacity. And of course, if you have more capacity, you can attend more, you can care more people which are not about to die. So that decreases dramatically the CFR. So we have to believe that the CFR will be way below this figure. And overall, we are watching data battle between all countries. So they blame each other and they try to shame each other, and the data is not consistent, and you have to really be really keen on carrying data and curating it. So there are plenty of lockdowns and international interferences on how the pattern is being modified. The criterion for counting people which are recovered or not is changing from one country to another, and it's changing within the same country from one day to other. So it's damn difficult to make it consistent. So far, this is an exhausting job, and really they don't do anything to make it better for data analysts and to make decisions. So based on crappy data, the only decisions we can expect is at the same level so far. So overall, the surface under the curve remained constant. So then the same number of people which were about to die in the beginning will die at the end, because we just displayed that we are able to smoothen the curve slope, but not that we can disrupt the contagion dynamics or even to mitigate the disease itself. And of course, we have to expect rebounds upon lockdown removal. So we have plenty of mammals that can be also infected and could be transmitting this. And if we don't change our habits, so you see the politicians that they kiss each other on the cheeks, they handshake, and so they have not changed any procedure because of manners, because of whatever, but they are not examples so far. So unless we change that, we have to expect a second wave as lethal as this one at least. So that's all for this week. So thank you very much for listening. I wish you learned something. I have learned many things, and from all of you and your comments. So have a nice afternoon and enjoy your days.